The film begins by sharing an old story about people who could make music so powerful it had the ability to summon spirits from both the past and the future. This music not only brought them fame and wealth, but also lifted the veil between the world of the living and the dead. However, it came with a great risk. It could attract dark and evil forces. Throughout history, such musicians have been known by different names, including fire people. Following this introduction, the story focuses on a young man named Sammy who arrives at a church badly hurt, carrying a broken guitar. The members of the church become worried when they see him in such a condition. The pastor prays for Sammy and urges him to give up music to avoid the evil that comes with it. While in the church, Sammy experiences strange nightmares, hinting that something terrible happened the night before. The scene then shifts to reveal what took place a day earlier. This part of the story is set in the early 1930s, between October 15th and 16th, 1932. The previous day, Sammy is shown finishing his daily work and retrieving his guitar from a church. The pastor, who is also his father, disapproves of Sammy's passion for music, especially because he views it as a connection to dark powers. Despite this, Sammy is deeply devoted to music, particularly the blues. For those unfamiliar, blues is a heartfelt and emotional genre that developed among African American communities in the southern United States during the 19th century. It is characterized by slow rhythms, meaningful lyrics, and prominent use of guitar and harmonica, often expressing pain and hardship. Many modern music styles like rock, jazz, and R&B have roots in the blues tradition. The story then introduces twin brothers named Smoke and Stuck, both veterans of World War I, who have recently returned to their hometown in Mississippi. Before returning, they had lived in Chicago, where they were involved with gangs and earned a substantial amount of money. With this money, they plan to open a juke joint back home. A juke joint is a casual and lively spot where people come to enjoy music, dancing, drinks, and gambling, primarily serving the African American community as a place to relax after hard work. The twins purchase a building for their juke joint from a white man named Hogwood, who clearly displays racist behavior. He is shocked by the twins' wealth, but shows them no respect, even spitting as he looks at them. After acquiring the location, the brothers begin recruiting musicians. First, they bring in Sammy to play guitar and sing. It is revealed that Sammy is their cousin. Stuck then teams up with Sammy and they hire another musician named Delta Slim, who plays harmonica and piano. Sammy also interacts with a singer named Pearline, and it's clear there is mutual affection between them. Meanwhile, Stuck encounters his former girlfriend Mary, who is upset with him for never contacting her after he left town. Mary's mother, who recently passed away, had cared for the twins when they were children. Mary is of mixed race and lives in a mostly white community. The film highlights these racial tensions to reflect the realities of the 1930s, which will be discussed further later. Together, Stuck, Sammy, and Delta Slim visit a cotton field to invite their old friend Cornbread to work as the doorman or security guard at the juke joint to keep order. Meanwhile, Smoke heads into town and hires a Chinese couple, Grace and Bo, to handle catering and manage the food, drinks, and gambling inside the joint. Smoke then visits his wife, Annie. Their relationship is strained, with Annie deeply involved in occult rituals, which she believes protect the family. Smoke, who traveled widely during the war, is skeptical and bitter because they lost their baby daughter soon after birth. Despite their arguments, Smoke still carries a talisman from Annie, and their connection remains complex. The story then shifts to a man named Remick who arrives badly injured at the home of a couple named Bert and Joanne. Shortly after, vampire hunters come searching for him, but Joanne lies to protect him. When night falls, Remick, who is actually a vampire and an Irish immigrant, attacks Bert, drinking his blood and turning him into a vampire as well. Joanne screams at what she witnesses, and the scene implies that she too will be attacked. Back at the juke joint, the twins' efforts pay off and the place is ready for its grand opening. Despite being twins, Smoke and Stuck have very different personalities. Smoke is serious and business-focused, while Stuck is laid-back and fun-loving. Smoke insists that everyone pay the entry fee, but Stuck and Annie argue that some hard-working members of their community should be allowed in even if they lack money. The juke joint comes alive with music, dancing, food, and drinks. Sammy and Delta Slim perform.
They say the truth hurts, so
Pearline, Mary, and Annie are present, and Grace and Bo run the catering and gambling. Cornbread ensures security. The event is lively and successful from the very first night. During his performance,
there are legends and spirits from the past.
somebody take me tonight.
Sammy plays a blues song so powerful and pure that it causes spirits from different times to appear, just as the legend described. This music also attracts Remick and his vampire companions, who arrive at the juke joint's entrance. Drawn by the music, Remick asks to be allowed inside to enjoy the night with his friends. Smoke and Stuck refuse to let Remick enter the juke joint, likely because he was white and his behavior seemed suspicious. Instead, Remick didn't go far but stayed nearby, singing together with Bert and Joanne. Meanwhile, inside the juke joint, various events unfolded. Pearline and Sammy shared a close moment. Mary had a disagreement with Stuck,
I'll pay one of these field bitches in here to drag your ass out for you.
and Smoke and Sammy also exchanged tense words. Later, Mary went outside alone and ran into Remick, Bert, and Joanne. They showed her gold coins to pay for entry, but during their talk, Remick's saliva began dripping, revealing his dark intention to feed on Mary's blood. Before she could react, Remick attacked her and turned her into a vampire. Now, Mary approached Cornbread, the bouncer, asking for permission to enter the bar, and Cornbread allowed her inside without knowing what she had become. Mary seduced Stuck. And during their intimate moment, she bit him, killing him immediately. Smoke arrived at the scene, saw what was happening, and fired multiple shots at Mary. But the bullets did not harm her, and she escaped laughing as if immune. Shocked and deeply affected by Stuck's death, Smoke ordered everyone to leave the juke joint at once. Annie quickly explained that Mary was now a vampire, which was why the bullets didn't affect her. Although Smoke wanted to deny it, the evidence was clear. Meanwhile, Cornbread went to get a drink, but was attacked by Remick, who turned him into a vampire. When Cornbread returned, he asked for permission to enter the juke joint, revealing his new nature. Annie pointed out that vampires cannot enter without an invitation, so Cornbread's request showed he had been converted. Trying to hide this, Cornbread demanded payment for his work. When Smoke tried to pay him, Cornbread attempted to bite his hand, but Smoke dodged and fought back. Trust vanished as no one could be sure who else had been turned. Cornbread even danced after being shot, showing his unnatural strength. Stuck, although dead, rose again as a vampire. Annie used pickled garlic juice on him, which burned him and forced him to flee. She told the survivors that vampires could only be killed with silver bullets or wooden stakes, and garlic was a repellent. She also explained that vampires cannot enter a building unless invited. Annie gave Smoke a protective charm and told everyone to eat garlic so they could prove they were still human. Outside, many customers who had come to the juke joint were forced out. The vampires attacked them, turning many into vampires who joined Remick's group. Even Grace's husband, who went outside to fetch the car, was bitten and converted. Now, only a few humans remained inside: Smoke, Annie, Sammy, Delta Slim, Pearline, and Grace. Outside, the vampires waited. The group planned to survive the night inside, hoping the vampires would flee at sunrise, since sunlight was deadly to them. Remick approached them, trying to persuade them to become vampires. He promised a life free of discrimination, eternal life, and freedom from racism. He revealed that a group led by John Bird, part of the local Hogwood clan, planned to arrive in the morning to kill Smoke and Stuck and steal their money. This revealed the deep racism they faced, targeted because they were black and successful. Remick said that when vampires turn people, they gain access to their memories. He had learned the plan through John Bird's thoughts. Remick argued that Smoke and the others were doomed anyway, so accepting vampirism was better. Stuck was already a vampire and happy with Mary, but Remick wanted to turn Smoke and the others too. Despite the temptation, they refused. Remick then said he only wanted Sammy, whose music had a unique power affecting spirits and even vampires. This impressed Remick greatly, but refusing to give up Sammy meant war was coming. Grace, furious over her husband's death, lost control when Remick threatened her daughter at home. This challenge invited the vampires inside, sparking a fierce battle. In the fight, Annie, Grace, and Delta Slim were killed. Delta Slim sacrificed himself protecting Sammy, Smoke, and Pearline. Namari, already a vampire, was devastated by Annie's death and fled in shock. It was heartbreaking because Stuck had bitten Annie, turning her into a vampire, and Smoke had to kill her with a wooden stake himself. Sammy and Pearline tried to escape, but were cornered by Remick and Stuck. Smoke arrived, and a brutal fight broke out between him and Stuck while Sammy faced Remick. Pearline was bitten and, before dying, begged Sammy to run and save himself. Sammy tried to escape by car, but Remick blocked him. Surrounded by vampires, Sammy seemed doomed. In a final desperate move, he smashed his guitar onto Remick's head.
Do everything.
The guitar had a silver plate that pierced Remick and caused intense pain. The other vampires writhed in agony too. Before Remick could fight back, Smoke arrived and killed him with a wooden stake. Moments later, the sun rose and all the vampires burned to ash, ending the nightmare. If you remember, Smoke had a fierce fight with his brother Stack, who had turned into a vampire. The story never clearly shows if Stack actually died or survived, so that mystery will be answered soon. Meanwhile, Smoke urged Sammy to escape quickly because the hostile Hogwood clan was on their way. Sammy ran as fast as he could. Soon after, the Hogwood clan arrived at the scene. Smoke, though badly wounded, stood alone and bravely fought them off using guns and whatever weapons he could find. He managed to kill many attackers, but sustained fatal injuries in the process. As Smoke lay dying, he had a peaceful vision of Annie and their daughter before passing away. Sammy, tired and heartbroken, found his way back to his father's church. Now, this moment brings us back to the very first scene of the movie I described earlier. Sammy's father, the pastor, again urges him to leave music behind and choose a path of salvation. But Sammy refuses and picks up his broken guitar, walking away from a church. Only the guitar's handle remains in his hand. That marks the film's ending. Before the credits finish, there are 2 extra scenes. The mid-credit scene is especially important, and I'll explain it now. The post-credit scene is less significant, but I will cover it too. The mid-credit scene takes place 60 years later, in 1992. Here, we see an older Sammy who has become a well-known blues musician. At this point, Stack and Mary appear. Stack reveals that Smoke had spared his life during that night at Jack's joint. However, Smoke's one condition was that Stack must always protect Sammy and never harm him. Stack kept this promise, ensuring Sammy's peaceful life. Now, Stack and Mary offer Sammy the chance to become a vampire, granting him immortality, because Sammy is old and not expected to live much longer. Despite their youth-like appearance, Stack and Mary have not aged since 1932, though their style now reflects the 90s. Sammy politely declines their offer. Before they leave, Stack asks Sammy to play a song. Sammy lifts his guitar and begins to play.
Try
As Stack and Mary start to walk away, Sammy confesses that he is still haunted by nightmares from that tragic night. But he also recalls that the day before was the best day of his life. Stack agrees, saying that day was his best too, as it was the last time he saw his brother, the last time he felt sunlight, and the last day he tasted true freedom. The mid-credit scene ends here.